Welcome, everyone, to the Thursday, June 17th, 2021 Helm Developer Weekly Call. It hasn't already. Oh, Bridget beat me to it. In the chat, we have the link to today's agenda. For if there's anybody new, we normally walk through a handful of things. We have announcements and then discussion, and then we'll get into open discussion. If there's anything that people didn't have on the discussion already, it can be added. If you have a discussion item you want, please add it to the discussion now in the document, and we'll get to it. And so the first thing we have is the announcements. And the first one is me. I see Bridget added this for me, I'm sure. Yesterday, Helm 3.6.1 was released. This was a patch release, and it was non-planned because it was a security release. There was a security notice filed for it that has all the fun details, but it has to do for the case where repositories are using, you use usernames and passwords with the repositories. And if you're not using that in any of your repositories, you're not going to be affected. But if you are, you should go review the security details and see if you are affected. And all the details are in there. And 3.6.1 fixes the situation. It did have to add a new flag, which doesn't normally come out in a patch release, but that was to enable people to have a consistent behavior after the fix if they needed to get the old behavior. It turns out yesterday in Slack, people were already looking for that flag because it did impact some folks. And so that's the announcement. 3.6.1 is out. It is a security release. The next one, I see Bridget, your name next to. Would you like to talk about it?
Sure, yeah. And just adding to that with the release schedule, also just keeping the drumbeat going, we have the next patch release scheduled for Wednesday, July 14th. So if you're trying to get patches evaluated and they haven't been evaluated and you believe it fixes a bug, be sure to bring it up. Okay, and then I also wanted to highlight for purposes of Josh, who is on the call, that we are looking for more comments and reviews on the HIP6 OCI changes. Josh, do you have anything you want to add about that?
I just saw there was a bunch of comments from several people here, so thank you. I'll try to get that addressed and we can hopefully get some approvals. That's it.
I can give a little bit of an update on that and what we're kind of thinking. Yesterday, Adam and Matt Fisher and I triple, I don't know what the right word for pairing when you do it with three people is.
It's triparatops.
Triparatops. And so we started going on it and we realized that it's just too big of a PR to do in a single pass. So what we were thinking we would do is break it into review phases and review it as if we were reviewing multiple PRs. So we'd start with the stuff that was outside of experimental and look through that. We started with running everything and making sure that it aligned with the HIP and trying to find any places where there were runtime errors or warnings or things that we didn't expect. Then we went through and started looking at how it impacted the public API and ended up breaking that into two because actions is kind of its own thing. And so started working on some of that. So we're just going to go through a cycle at a time. And what we were hoping, if you're up for it, is that we could leave a round of comments, then you could fix them, and then we could do another round of review after that, knowing that we're incrementally working our way through it. Because the fear was if we did one gigantic pass all the way through and you did one gigantic refactor, then we would have to do another gigantic pass all the way through. And if we do it sort of piecemeal.
Is that first round complete then? Should I go after that pass?
Yeah, okay. I think so. Yeah. And we started off kind of scattershot. So you saw there were like three of us commenting. And then I think we kind of went down to just one person commenting, which was Adam, I think, so that we didn't overwhelm you with redundant stuff or anything like that.
I don't feel overwhelmed. I shared a link. I shared a link in the Zoom chat. So as far as like testing this, like either manually or whatever, these are all the commands that if you look through that file, those are all the commands that I made sure work fine. Adam, I saw your comment about the weird error message. That actually exits 0. but there's some weird output there. Anyway,
Can you add this to the pull request, just saying, hey, this is how I
it's in the description,
test
but
this?
I'll put a new
Oh,
comment.
okay, sorry, I missed it then.
No, it was a long description. I'll just add a comment too. But yeah, thank you everybody. Thank you to the Triceratops for addressing this. That's it.
All right.
Just make sure there's more.
Yep. And I see this was moved to discussion. Thanks, Bridget. All right. Any other comments on this? Please, other folks review it as well to get Josh any additional feedback he might have or might need. This is a big one.
Yeah, and I would encourage people to read the HIP before doing the trying it out, because the HIP determines what the UX should be, and the HIP was already signed off on. So I don't think we want to make UX changes, and if we do, we would unfortunately have to revise the HIP.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right. Anything else on this one? Speaking of hips, we have HIP 4. Bridget, I see you wanted to talk about HIP 4.
Yeah, I just had a quick question, and I saw we got a few comments unattributed, so I don't know which mysterious person had these insights, but I was wondering if we can make some progress on this one. I saw that it had been in progress, then perhaps it stalled, so I'm wondering if we can get this moving again.
For a
I
bit
think
of
that's a great
context.
idea. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. It's mine and Dr. Butcher's HIP about backwards compatibility. It needs two, looks good to me. It only has one, but there is one comment that hasn't been addressed about backwards compatibility of YAML files. And Fisher had, the last comment is from Fisher saying that we talked about it in a dev call, and the backwards compatibility might be even more strict than we thought, but not everybody was there. And that's kind of, beyond my, so I need you guys to.
So here's one of the points of backwards compatibility. If you're talking about an index.yaml file or a chart.yaml file, those things that are sent over the internet, we now use, for security reasons, strict parsing, which means if there's extra fields on there, so right, if you go to the chart.yaml file and you added a new key and value like at the top, and an older version will have Helm went to go parse that, it's going to scream, hey, there's stuff in here I didn't expect. And this was all part of a security fix from before, which basically means that for those files, we are locked in, the stuff that gets transmitted over the internet and parsed and people pass around, into the current schemas. Both the index YAML and chart YAML now have annotations, which means you can use annotations if we need to add things before we get to Helm v4. But that is one of those problems we're going to have here. And that's where things are locked in for backwards compatibility. Now, some of the internal storage stuff, like if somebody uses Helm repo add and they add something to the registries.yaml that's stored inside your local file system cache, that does not use the strict parsing structure. And so flags can, properties can be added to that. So it depends on what it is. And the things that were passed over the internet are the ones that are more locked in now.
So,
Yeah.
Matt, do you want me to make a PR to update the docs to no longer say that additional fields will be silently ignored as of version whatever? Because
Ooh,
our
where
docs
does it say that?
It does.
Oh, do Oh, then we need to take that out and tell people to use annotations instead.
Yeah.
And yeah, Matt Butcher added to the chat here a link to the security audit that identified this.
And to clarify here, this is because of limitations in YAML parsing libraries where we have to detect duplicate keys. If we were able to find a solution that relaxes the strict parsing but does not allow duplicate keys in the YAML parser, then we can relax this constraint again and we can allow optional fields. But until that time, we cannot relax that constraint. So if someone wants to go into the YAML parsing library and go and implement that change, then we can relax this constraint for backwards compatibility.
Yeah, not tell Helm v4 because we've released too many versions of Helm v3 that are stuck with it. We can't go back and fix
Right.
them.
Oh,
So I
right.
would
Yeah.
be able to relax it in Helm v4. Yeah. So that, yeah.
Okay.
Fun times.
I'll make an action item for myself to just update the docs.
Yeah. And so, Mark, does that give you what you need on this?
I guess I'll need the list of which files can't be, you can't add anything to them and which ones can. So when you say sent over the internet,
So will that clarity be in the docs update that Scott is doing? Perhaps that would give you exactly what you're looking for.
maybe I'll reach out if I can't find anything.
Okay.
I'll-
Yeah, it
I'll-
has
I'll
to
add
do with
something.
strict marshaling, I believe, or unmarshaling.
Yeah, I'll add something in that comment thread on the issue. I'll add the list.
Okay.
All right. And once that's in, I'll volunteer to be one of the people to go review it. So,
I'm sorry, there's an issue at the house. I have to leave. The next item is mine, but I put all the information there. Farina pointed me to the right thing. There's a PR missing in V3.
all right, I'll talk through it with folks.
Thank you. Just get the,
you can go.
if you don't mind confirming that it's okay to add it, or if you guys don't want it, then we just ignore it.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and talk through it.
Thanks,
You can go
Mark.
Thank you.
deal with your
Sorry about
situation.
that.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay,
No
bye.
problem. So here's what it is. I guess in Helm v2, and I'd entirely forgotten about this, you could do Helm repo update and then put the name of the repo in, and only a single repo was updated. That appears to have never been brought across to Helm v3. And my guess is, and I didn't find it, that it was, did somebody find the missing PR? That it happened after we started the Helm v3 work and the split. Looking at the date, it looked like it is. And so my guess is we just failed to bring this one over. And so somebody would need to bring it over. And so that's one of those things I think would be an easy feature request. If somebody new wants to try to code something up, because we already have 5182 as the pull request that brought this over, someone would just need to bring this over to V3.
Yeah, I think there were concerns about updating a single dependency because of the chart locking, but for updating a single repository's index file, I think that should be fine. So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not thinking of any back context why that was not ported over. I think it could just simply be that it just was not ported over during the Helm 3 development.
We've occasionally run into this, right? This isn't the first time we missed something. Okay. So we have finished through our main items. So what I'd like to do is for next week, get a moderator notes and issue triage. Do we have anybody up for any of those for next week?
1 second.
It's the 24th.
I can triage. I was out sick like most of last week, so I fell short of my triage duties.
I can do
I'm
moderator.
sorry to hear that.
I'm sorry.
But wait, Scott, you said you'll moderate?
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Adam. Yeah.
All right. Anybody interested in notes?
Karina mentioned in chat that she'd be happy to do notes next week.
Right. Karina said that? Or was it? Oh, all right. Perfect. Thank you. Did anybody have, we still have 13 minutes left. We had an incredibly quick discussion on all these topics. Does anybody have anything else they'd like to bring up and discuss now that we've got the other stuff out of the way?
Can I bring up, so there's like a number of things on the mailing list that are out for votes, and I feel like they go unvoted on. There's like something about like the MapCube APIs plugin, and there's another one about Martin being a main org maintainer. And I'm just wondering if like at the beginning of the call, we should say like, make sure you vote on this Because I feel like people aren't saying -1. It's just like it becomes forgotten about.
So here's what I've learned about voting in Helm. When it comes to a vote where people need to engage in, get a list of everybody who needs to vote and go track them down and remind them. The emails, everything else, nothing works. You basically have to get a list. Somebody's got to own it and just track people down. It's an unfortunate thing that needs to happen. That's just the way we are.
That said, of the 2 open votes, one of them requires 2/3 of the contributors vote, and the other one is silent. The other one's silence means yes, essentially, right?
Yeah.
Adopting
Yeah.
a new
Well, I'd have to go look, but I think, yeah.
adopting the new project, which is the plugin to do API sniffing and downloading. That one I think is running up on its timeline, and if nobody else votes, that doesn't matter, right?
Was it a lazy consensus vote?
I'm pretty sure adopting a project is lazy consensus. Voting in a new org maintainer is not lazy consensus. At least 2/3, you have to have a 2/3 majority of maintainers say yes before that passes. So just to give some context behind that, Martin was nominated about a month ago to replace to fill the empty org maintainer's spot left by Vic, was it, who stepped down?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it was Martin Hickey, just to be clear, since we have another Martin on the call.
Oh, right, yeah. Surprise, it's your first Helm call. You were nominated to run the Martin Hickey. And so anybody who is a maintainer on any of the Helm projects at all, from docs to Helm to, you know, plugin Helm 2 to 3 plugin to art testing, any of those, we need maintainers to vote on that one. We realized, since this is the first time we've actually nominated a new org maintainer since the governance docs were created, we have some holes in the voting process that we'll have to address later on, but we're following the laws as they're, the governance docs as they're written now. Hopefully next time we won't send an email to the mailing list saying, vote by +1ing on this email, because that's a little bit, not the best experience. But this go around, to follow the documentation specifically, if you are a maintainer on any of these projects, please read your email and respond yes or no, or if you abstain, essentially an abstention is a no. So
yeah, and it looks like that Fisher found adding a project requires a simple majority, so it's not lazy consensus. We do need a simple majority of the org maintainers. So right now that would be 4 org maintainers. So, and yes, the only way to get people to vote is to hunt them down.
I went to go put up the chart museum stuff for vote, and I realized Martin's thing never was finished. So just trying to understand how they go about it.
And it's the hunt
3
people
weeks
down
for
problem.
it just, the 3 weeks for Martin's thing just wrapped up like 2 days ago. So we're right on time.
Okay.
Yeah, I can say I just went ahead and did the vote. Thanks a lot for the reminder, Josh. My my last month has been a little crazy, but you know, normally I do vote. I just completely spaced on these ones. So.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of why I say, like, if there's anything open, maybe in the call, like in the announcements, we can just say, hey, maybe just go do a +1 right now while you are on the call.
I love that idea.
Ignore all our content. Go do a +1.
Yeah, don't even read the proposal. Just.
All right. But yeah, that's what's going on, and why that happens. All right. So we've got 8 minutes left. Is there anything else anybody wanted to talk about? And thank you for bringing that up, Josh, because we need those reminders. If there's nothing else, then everyone's got 8 minutes to go. All the maintainers got 8 minutes to go spend reviewing something in an issue queue somewhere. So I'll give this time back as long as you all promise to go review something in an issue queue right now, or vote on something.
Or look at a HIP.
To no good.
Yeah. Use your time wisely. No fish or coffee is not allowed. This is time to review something first. All right, everyone. We'll be back here same time next week. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you all online.